On the night of April 1st, 2006, 27-year-old medical student Brian Shaffer walked into a bar in Columbus, Ohio. Security cameras captured him entering through the main entrance at 1:55 a.m. He was never seen leaving. In fact, he was never seen again. Despite the bar having only one public entrance, being covered by security cameras, and being thoroughly investigated, Brian Shaffer simply vanished. No body, no trace, no explanation. This is the story of one of the most baffling disappearances in modern times, a case where every logical answer seems impossible. Brian Shaffer was, by all accounts, living a successful life. He was a second-year medical student at Ohio State University with a bright future ahead. He was engaged to his girlfriend Alexis, and they were planning a trip to Miami for spring break. But the spring of 2006 had been difficult for Brian. His mother had died from a rare form of bone cancer just weeks earlier, on March 24th. Brian had been devastated. He was close to his mother, and her death hit him hard. Still, those who knew him said he was coping reasonably well. He was focused on his studies, planning his future with Alexis, and looking forward to their upcoming trip as a chance to decompress. On the night of March 31st, going into April 1st, Brian decided to go out with a friend, William Clint Florence, to celebrate the start of spring break. It was supposed to be a normal night out in the college district. Nothing unusual, nothing dangerous. They started the evening at several bars before ending up at the Ugly Tuna Saloona, a bar located on the second floor of a building on High Street near campus. Brian and Clint arrived at the Ugly Tuna Saloona around 9 p.m. The bar was packed. It was the weekend before spring break, and students were out celebrating. Throughout the night, Brian seemed in good spirits. He was drinking, socializing, and at one point, he was caught on security camera talking to two young women near the bar entrance around 1:55 a.m. He's seen chatting with them briefly before apparently heading back into the bar. This is the last confirmed sighting of Brian Shaffer. At around 2 a.m., Clint tried to find Brian to tell him they were leaving, but he couldn't locate him in the crowded bar. Clint assumed Brian had left with someone or would find his own way home. He sent Brian a text, but got no response. This wasn't particularly concerning at the time. Brian was an adult. They were in a safe area, and it wasn't unusual for friends to separate at bars. But Brian never came home. When Brian didn't show up for his planned flight to Miami with Alexis on April 3rd, alarm bells started ringing. This wasn't like him. He was responsible, excited about the trip, and he wouldn't just disappear without telling anyone. Alexis contacted Brian's father, Randy Shaffer, who immediately knew something was wrong. He contacted police, and an investigation began. Detectives quickly focused on the Ugly Tuna Saloona as the last known location. They obtained security footage from the bar and the surrounding area. This is where the case becomes truly bizarre. The Ugly Tuna Saloona is located on the second floor of a building. There is one main entrance that the public uses, a single door at the top of an escalator. This entrance was covered by security cameras. The footage shows Brian entering at 1:55 a.m., talking briefly to the two women. After that, he's never seen on camera again. Not leaving through the entrance, not at any point through the rest of the night. Police checked every frame of footage. Brian is seen entering. he is never seen leaving. The immediate question is obvious. If Brian didn't leave through the main entrance, how did he get out? Police investigated every possibility. The service entrance. There was a service entrance that staff used for deliveries. However, this door led to a construction area that was locked and gated. To use this exit, Brian would have needed to go through staff-only areas, navigate through construction debris in the dark, and somehow get past locked barriers. Police thoroughly searched the construction area and found nothing. Could he still be in the building? The building was searched multiple times, including with cadaver dogs. Every room, every closet, every possible hiding space was checked. Brian wasn't there. Did the cameras miss him? Security experts reviewed the footage. There was a brief period where the camera angle didn't capture someone if they hugged the right wall at exactly the right moment, but it was a narrow window and would require knowledge of camera placement. Could Brian have known about this blind spot? It's possible, but it seems like an odd detail to know, and an even odder thing to deliberately exploit when just leaving normally would be easier. In the days and weeks following Brian's disappearance, the investigation expanded. Cell phone. Brian's cell phone was never found. After his disappearance, there was one attempt to activate his cell phone on April 20th, 3 weeks after he vanished. The call didn't go through, but the attempt to power on the phone was traced to a cell tower near Hilliard, Ohio, about 14 miles from where he disappeared. This created more questions than answers. Was Brian alive and trying to use his phone? Did someone else have it? Was it a technical glitch? Financial records. Brian's bank accounts showed no activity after his disappearance. His credit cards were never used. For someone to disappear voluntarily, they'd need money, but Brian accessed none of his funds. Clint Florence. Brian's friend Clint became a person of interest, partly because he was the last known person with Brian, and partly because he refused to take a polygraph test after consulting with a lawyer. However, there's no evidence Clint was involved in Brian's disappearance. He cooperated with the investigation in other ways, and his decision to refuse a polygraph, while suspicious looking, is legally his right. Many lawyers advise clients to never take polygraphs regardless of guilt or innocence. Smiley face murder theory. Some investigators have theorized that Brian might be a victim of the smiley face killers, an alleged network of killers who target young men at bars near water, drugging them and drowning them, and leaving smiley face graffiti nearby. This theory is controversial and largely dismissed by law enforcement. But Brian's case has some similarities to other cases attributed to this theory. However, there was no body found in nearby water, and no smiley face graffiti was discovered. Without Brian or a body, investigators and amateur sleuths have developed several theories. Voluntary disappearance. Could Brian have chosen to vanish? He was dealing with grief over his mother's death. Maybe the pressure of medical school, the impending marriage, and his loss became too much. Against this, Brian had no history of mental health crises. He left without money or his belongings, and disappearing would require elaborate planning that doesn't match the spontaneous nature of his vanishing. Accident. Perhaps Brian fell or became trapped somewhere in or near the bar, in a place that hasn't been found. But extensive searches have yielded nothing, and 18 years is a long time for a body to remain hidden in a developed area. Foul play. The most likely explanation, according to police. Someone could have harmed Brian, possibly after he left the bar through an unmonitored exit, or even inside the bar itself. But who? And where is his body? Despite massive searches, publicized rewards, and constant pressure, no one has come forward with information. The construction area theory. Some believe Brian exited through the service entrance into the construction area and met with foul play there, with his body being accidentally or deliberately sealed in construction afterward. This is plausible, but searches of the building during and after construction found nothing. Brian's father, Randy Shaffer, dedicated his life to finding his son. He hired private investigators, posted rewards, gave countless interviews, and followed every lead. Tragically, Randy died in 2008 without ever knowing what happened to Brian. He had fallen off a construction site in Columbus, though his death was ruled accidental. Some wondered if the stress and grief had played a role. Brian's brother Derek continues to search for answers. Alexis, Brian's fiancée, moved on with her life, but has said she still thinks about Brian and wonders what happened. The case remains open with Columbus police. Over the years, there have been alleged sightings, people claiming to see someone who looks like Brian in various cities, but none have been confirmed. In 2020, Brian was officially declared legally dead, though this doesn't answer the question of what happened. The disappearance of Brian Shaffer represents one of the most frustrating mysteries in modern criminal investigation. In an age of surveillance cameras, cell phone tracking, and digital footprints, a person simply vanished from a crowded bar with one entrance. Every rational explanation has a flaw. Every theory has holes. And somewhere, someone knows something. If you were in that bar that night, if you saw something unusual, or if you have any information, Columbus police are still taking tips. What do you think happened to Brian Shaffer? Let me know in the comments below.